I'm going to review the 10.5cm Sturmhaubitze 42 Ausf G. You know what I mean. So, it's got Zim. It's the first StuG that ever came with Zim, or StuG, I don't know. But it's the first one, and the later G with Waffle Zim that came out recently has the exact same parts, which is kind of disappointing because I have them both and I compared them and they're identical. However, this review's about this kit. So it came out in, let me see here, the original tooling was in 2007. Now I've got some things to say about StuGs real quick. So in 07 it was like an early 6320, I want to say. And then since then, like, that was a great, lovely looking kit, but since then has been such a ridiculous stint of kits that I'm kind of annoyed with it, even though StuGs are like, I don't know, number 2 or 3 on my list of awesome things in German armor. So, it went like the early one that came out, and then I think they did like a Dragon Expo one. Then this was right there. I think this was like the third StuG related kit they did. And then they did another Dragon Expo one, which I have. And then it just got kind of bonkers. There was like early with Schurzen, and then there was an F8 with Winterketten. And then they started doing this thing where they just date them. Like, this is the December 43 one. Then there was the, I think, Zimmerit one. That's a very good one, by the way. But then still, like a late G from December 44, and early from Italy in 43, and how about May of 43? But this one's all cat and not Miag. And if you know anything about StuGs, there were 2 factories that made them, and they had some very minor variations. And this kit is plagued with those problems. There's a huge amount of griping online about how the supports for the fenders are the wrong kind. Like, they mixed Miag and Alcat parts in this, so you either have to heavily modify it one way or the other. I'm not going to talk about that right this second because I'm not an expert on it. So, but the information is out there online if you look at the inaccuracies of this. Yeah, fine, I don't care. I'll probably build it as is. So, if we look at it, we've got Waffle Zim all up here on the lower hull and the superstructure. Delicate Zimmerit pattern around upper hull. Well, isn't that fancy? So it's Zim all over the place. The G-style cupola. Got PE, obviously. And as is standard for whatever reason with their a lot of their Zim kits, there's like a single picture instead of just a block of renders. 40cm magic tracks with hollow guide horn. A good amount of gun breech detail. Slide molded periscope. I don't know if it's clear or not. I don't really care. Metal tow cables. Also interesting to note is that this is labeled as Cyber Hobby, but it looks like Dragon. Don't know why that is. I don't see any markings on here. So for the instructions, right off the bat we can see that 2 of these sprues probably don't belong to this kit originally. This looks, and that's just from my bit of knowledge of that these parts are, looks like, I bet you it's a standard StuG 3 not Zimmerit sprue, which is why maybe the fenders are missing. There's some unused tools, which by the way I've probably pillaged from this kit already. And then this, I happen to know, is a Heuschrecke sprue, because the way that you get this 105 in this kit is they give you the Grasshopper sprue with the 105. They also give you the entire gun sprue for the StuG G, which means that you can build either the howitzer or standard Pack 40 version, which you can also in the Tamiya kit. So it's weird, this is basically the exact same kind of thing. I can open paper, holy cow. Alright, so standard suspension stuff. 2-piece wheels, 2-piece return rollers, the kind of awesome Panzer III idler with the 2 bits of photo etch that go in between, and the adjusters in the back. I'm not going to glue the final drive to the sprockets, that's just silly. I'm going to do it the other way around later. This has workable torsion bars, like other Panzer III kits. I think you have to cut off the tabs to make them workable though. Yeah, this is basically real standard Panzer III stuff. This can be a bit of a pain where you have the exhaust and then you have that vent down there, or deflector, whatever it really is. So they're telling me to put wheels on. I will not put wheels on. You've got this photo etch vent, or grill that goes there. Here's that thing I'm talking about, just because how I'm supposed to paint these with this on, I don't know. I did a Panzer IIIJ and that was a problem for me. Here we have a jack. Some basic tools, interesting. They have the eyelets right there. Okay, they're telling you how long to make the metal tow cables, or how to put them on. Variations for how to put your fire extinguisher on. 3 options there. 1, 2, 3. Interesting. Never seen that before. There's the cupola. And the hatch. The little scissors periscope cut out. Ventilator on the back. Antenna. I don't know if it says double ones yet, it does. I don't think it comes with the antennas themselves, just these things. And I could be mistaken, but I always see this as sort of it's a cop-out, so I cut off that little bit, drill it out, and put an antenna in there. I don't know if they ever had short antennas. As far as I was told, they're always 2 meters in scale anyway, obviously. So here is the Broop MG, which I think was just manned. I don't think it was the remote one, but I could be totally wrong. But that shield doesn't look like the remote one. Like all StuGs, it's got radios inside the fighting compartment. Here's your rear deck stuff, spare wheels, barrel cleaning rods, PE's going on here, tools are going on the sides. I like the spare wheels in the rear. Hatches on the front. No tack light. Here's all the gun stuff. This looks pretty sparse, but the mounting, the sight, breech assembly. The gun has got the standard welded mantlet, not the StuH blende. But a pretty thorough gun assembly on all StuGs. I mean, it's comparable almost to the Nashorn, which is an open compartmented vehicle, so it's impressive to me. Then here you've got these sub-assemblies all going together. Rear deck, superstructure fenders, front, gun, and then the interior of the gun. Slap all that together, smack it down on the lower hull. Good to go. Marking options are yellow or yellow covered in white. Again, I always either like just Dunkelgelb or tritonal. So in the box, we've got a larger Dragon card, which is purely due to the age of the kit, I think. That's clear. You wouldn't even need this big of one nowadays. So you've got very limited decals. I really hate the way this one looks. And these are the same decals, by the way, in the StuG 3G with Zimmerit kit. So they're very similar kits. Standard Panzer III PE. So the grill that goes bottom on the rear, the 2 for the engine, the bits for the idler, and then a few things. Some of these which I could never quite figure out how to use correctly. They go right under these intakes, and I couldn't get it last time. An MG, I believe, for the roof, clear parts, which is a periscope and some standard periscope, or a gun sight and some periscopes. And then there's our Magic Tracks hollow guide horn, which I always like. Mostly because Tamiya doesn't do it. All in order, though. We get 2 of these. Standard Panzer III A sprue. Now, the age of the kit, I think you can see pretty drastic differences in the mold quality because it just hasn't been used as much. Let's check it out. Sprockets look really good. Idlers look really good. The kit that got me into Dragon was a Panzer III, so I'm pretty in love with Panzer IIIs and StuGs and their suspension and everything that Dragon does with them, so kind of a fanboy, so I won't even pretend like I'm not. There's your final drive housings, extra pins to put the spare wheels in the rear, torsion bars, return rollers. Really simple, 2 of these, still looks very good. Next after that will be the hull. So, it's got great waffle zim, and it looks random and damaged. The only problem is it's the exact same hull they use on any StuGs with zim. So if they're sitting on my shelf, not that you're gonna look that closely, but it kind of bugs me. I suppose you could just do a little bit of your own over top of that. Try to vary it, but whatever. It looks fantastic. All of the raised details and stuff look as good as you'd expect from Dragon. It's a fantastic lower hull. Alright, so this guy is a standard StuG 3G sprue. So this is your fighting compartment interior, mounting for the gun, all of the interior gun detail. And this is used exactly the same in this kit, even though it's a 105 howitzer. That's probably not correct. Well, okay, let's be honest, it's completely not correct. So you're using a 75mm breech on a 105. But you can barely see it. But it does sort of irk the rivet counter in me. There's our interior radios. They look pretty good. Actually, they look very good. Scissors periscope has... There it is. It is like... It's sunken in like that. Some of their older ones were not. There's the front of the mantlet. And again, the fighting compartment floor. Excuse me, I can talk. It's got some diamond plate on it. Everything on here looks fantastic. But again, when this kit came out, these StuGs were only about a year old. The tooling, not StuGs themselves. Here we have a Zimmerit sprue. So, we've got the front where the driver hatches are. All of the add-on armor, front plate. Man, that waffle zim looks really good. Really random, really varied. Look at that. Fantastic. I'm sure that this exact sprue is also in that StuG 3G kit. But yeah, the Zimmerit looks amazing. Now this is what, to my eyes, looks like nearly the same, it's the same parts that we just saw with Zim without Zim. And as Dragon didn't want us to have too many spares, they cut out these. There's the shield for the MG on the roof. A bunch of parts I bet we won't be using. That shield may be the only thing used on here. But everything looks good. Bunch of really clean spares. I was really surprised with how many spares were in that Panzer III I built. Here's the Heuschrecke sprue. So as you can see, anybody looking to build a StuG that opens it up and sees that shape would be like, what the hell is that? That is the... Jesus, I can pick things up. That is the bottom of the turret of a grasshopper. That infamous turret you can take off. So I think the majority of what you use here is this 105, which has an interesting way of doing the muzzle brake. So it's all slide molded on except for the very tip. Normally you get these three-piece ones. This would just be two, by the look of it, right here and right here. But there's that bizarre grasshopper mantlet. Almost has like a T-34-76 look to it. So I don't think you'd be using any of the rest of this, which is odd, unless they have you using this, because this is the actual 105 breech assembly stuff. And then another mount. You had this for the 75, and you also have it for this, but I think you use all the 75mm parts, which is unfortunate. I think you just use this barrel. So, you've got a bunch of grasshopper parts you'll never need. But that is an idiosyncrasy of Dragon I kind of love. Here we have the roof of the superstructure and the fenders, as well as the cupola for the G. I believe this is the ventilator that goes on the rear of the fighting compartment. You got some really small two-piece hatches. grab handles. There's the hatch with the scissor periscope cut out. All this looks really good. Yeah, smoke launchers. I don't know that those are used on one of these, but I love having as many of these as possible because I'm a tiger nut and they are on tigers. So every dragon kit I get with dragon style smoke launchers I can use on like a Tamiya Tiger or something, so I'm very into that. Everything on here looks really solid, really clean. Could be how early in the production this kit was made, I don't know. But they all look this good, who am I kidding? So here's your Pack 40 StuG sprue. There you've got the one-piece barrel, the silly looking trapezoidal mantlet. Not a whole lot to say about this. There's the muzzle brake. So it is all in here. If you wanted to make just a StuG 3G with Zim, you could. Some of the complaints about this particular kit were, though, it doesn't come with a lot of the stuff that the StuG 3G with Zim comes with, like the stowage rack in the back or the Schurzen, right? Because all those StuGs had those things. So in theory, you'd have to do that if you wanted to make it accurate, but who cares? It's a StuG. But there's that gun sprue. I think the only thing they have you using on this is like these parts here. So, superstructure. I think I say so a lot. I have to watch this back and find out. Waffle Zim looks really, really good. Dang. Das ist gut, ja. Yeah, that looks really sweet. And see on the rear, I read a pretty extensive discussion on Network 54 about whether or not they had Zim on all these parts, and I've seen pictures and they do. It's everywhere on these things. Maybe because they were so low. But those parts are fantastic. Not much left. This is torsion bars, or swing arms more correctly, because the torsion bars are the things that are inside. The extensions on the front of the hull, the lower rear plate. What the hell? Oh, it's a little knockout mark, they got bent. The suspension, like the actual shock absorbers, the adjusters for the idler. Standard Panzer III stuff, although it's listed as StuG. There's that vent on the back, or deflector, whatever it's called. I always have a hard time putting these together with these. Where'd they go? With these things. I just get confused. Don't know why. And then the last things in here are your little guys. Now, I believe I've cannibalized quite a few parts from this. My apologies. There were some shovels and bits that I needed. I think I actually only needed the clamps off them, so I would take the tools, cut the tools off, and just glue the clamps to Tamiya tools to make my Yag Panther look better, I think. So those are tools that are actually used. And then there's your jack. And some more tools, this adorable little hammer. Inertial starter, bolt cutters, barrel cleaning rods, no-tack lights, standard stuff. Everything looks pretty solid. Then here is more smoke launchers. Love it. Here are the infamous incorrect Fender supports. So these, I believe, would be, it's one or the other. I don't want to say because I'll mess it up, but either it's, you know, they put an Alcat thing in there and put Miag supports, or vice versa. Whatever it is, they're wrong. And if you want to look into how to fix it, go ahead. I don't think I care that much. Like, I do want things to be accurate, but I'm not going to go to some crazy level to fix it either. Everything's clean as usual, lots of knockout marks, or knockout tabs instead of ejector pin marks. And lastly, I believe, we've got some eyelets for the tow cables, and and the fire extinguisher, and a jack block, which looks pretty well textured there, and smooth as a baby's butt on the side. What the hell, Dragon? But standards we've expected from Dragon, everything looks great. So that's the Sturmhaubitze 42. It's really, really nice. I'm looking forward to making it. I don't know that I care about inaccuracies, but I might. That's why I probably keep subconsciously mentioning them. It's worth being said that everything in this box was individually bagged, and the Dragon card was big, and it's from an era where I feel like it's that point in a relationship where we were still in love, you know, where you look back on it fondly, like you feel like you're not being cheated when you get these. So I suggest that everybody, at least once, tracks down an older one of these if you haven't, just to see what they were doing 5 years ago, because it's pretty awesome. I think you can find this relatively cheap. Any StuG kits are pretty good, but I think the Zim ones look particularly nice. So, thanks a lot, guys.